Beyond Journey's End is the best anime ever made, based on its premiere alone. I don't know why this feels so familiar. Get away from me, Jujutsu Kaisen. Season 2's been fun and all, but I just don't have time for these Shibuya shenanigans anymore. I have things to do, places to be. I just can't keep sitting here and wasting my time on this anymore. Beyond Journey's End covers this perfectly. Alright, fuck it. I'll figure this out later. Beyond Journey's End is about an elf named Frieren. Fuck you. Her party is finally on their way back home after their long 10-year journey to defeat the Demon King, because this is the epilogue. Wait a minute. The Demon King had already been defeated. Everyone at the capital is partying, drinking, and dancing. The heroes' party is reminiscing on the ups and downs of their decade-long journey, because why wouldn't they? They did it. This is the start of an era of peace and prosperity. Frieren doesn't care at all. Not even a little bit. In fact, she's pretty apathetic. She's pretty apathetic toward the entire celebration. See, Freudian's been around for at least 1,000 years. She is living on an incomprehensible perception of time, so when you try to hit her with some sentimental shit about traveling together for a decade, you might as well be saying you've known each other for at least 10 minutes. So Himmel the hero looks at this and he says, what, not interested? Well, that's nothing. Check this shit out. The Era meteor shower, something that takes place once every 50 years. Humans, if they're lucky, can experience this twice in their lifetime. Frieren. Shut up. So, Frieren promises to show them a better view of the meteor shower a mere 50 years from now, if that is anyone else, say, a father figure for example. He's not coming back, but we trust Frieren here, and so begins the 50-year passage of time. Seasons pass by like seconds. Caverns, dungeons, cities, fishing. All of these beautiful, serene moments pass us by in the blink of an eye. And before you know it, 50 years has passed. Himmel the hero has turned into the old man from Pokemon for some reason. And Frieren is actually really fucking punctual. That was actually 50 years on the dot. Frieren gets the rest of the gang back together and they set out on one last journey to see the Era meteor shower at its absolute best before Himmel the hero passes away shortly after. And initially, Frieren seems pretty indifferent toward the whole thing. Some of the townspeople even call her out on this because they're fucking losers. It isn't really until the burial that the impact of Himmel's death finally hits Frieren. She watches, she remembers, and then she thinks to herself, damn, that Himmel guy was actually pretty cool, huh? And that's when Frieren breaks down, at the realization that the passage of time is a bitch, but more that she'd never properly taken the time to get to know him, not in the same way that he took the time to know her. And as sad as it is, Frieren actually takes this revelation in stride. She wants to understand why Himmel left such a profound impact on her, and in that sense, the journey that follows almost becomes something of a celebration of life in itself. And that for me is what makes this such a beautiful journey to follow. The premise. I think the sentiment of wasted time and appreciating the people around you is something a lot of people can get behind, myself included. It's easy to get lost in your hobbies, jobs, careers, the whirlwind of your life, and taking the things closest to you for granted. The way Frieren explored that idea really resonated with me, and this is only episode 1. Jesus Christ. But this is the level of quality you can expect throughout the show. Marvel, and how this guy puts his jacket on. See what I'm saying? Frieren is an anime that hits the ground walking, sometimes backwards and at 50 years per step. It's a show that takes its time and really encourages you to get to know these characters and the world that they inhabit. You can lose yourself in this atmosphere. The soundtrack, art, and animation all work to create this gentle, almost ethereal ambience. Yeah, ambience. Oh, one of the things I think this show does really well is building this world up through these characters. Half of them are dead. That would be the hero's party. You primarily get to know these guys through Frieren's flashbacks, which gives you a very intimate, familiar lens to see them through. And with those memories, we get a feel for who these characters are and just how close-knit this group really was. There's a certain nostalgia to just watching these guys hang out and enjoy each other's company. It's like remembering the carefree days you spent hanging out with your best friends after school, or for the friendless, it's like going through the photo album in Amori. That sentimentality is what sticks with you to a point where you almost forget that these guys were legends. Himmel the hero was the premier hero, the guy with the heart of gold. Aizen the warrior was one of the strongest warriors of his time. Haiter was there. And as Frieren's journey progresses, you come to understand just how influential the hero's party really was. Statues of them are propped up in every other town, and stories of their heroics are passed along like fairy tales. These guys didn't just defeat the Demon King, they saved and inspired generations of civilization. That kind of legacy doesn't just disappear overnight, and their influence especially wasn't lost on Frieren herself. These guys were all wise beyond their years, each of them with their own philosophies that in retrospect served to help Frieren understand why humans choose to live the way that they live. This is why they dump their children on her. Do I sound fucking nasally? I feel like the introduction to the half of the cast that is alive comes in the form of Frieren and Stark, the proteges of Haiter and Aizen respectively. Frieren had agreed to take them on because Haiter is a cheating, swindling little fucking scumbag. And at first it kind of just seems like they're along for the ride with no real say in what comes next. And they're right, Frieren has an overabundance of time to do fuck all in the village for 3 years if she wants to. She doesn't care, but most people have dreams and ambitions and less than 100 years to pursue them. I'd be pretty apprehensive too, but as they spend more time together, she actually recognizes a lot lot of similarities to her old friends in philosophies and behavior. I think it's that familiarity that ends up giving Frieren something of a second chance to do for them what she'd never done for her friends before. For example, she respects her time. Sort of. But then she takes the extra steps. She trains them, she buys gifts for them, she actively takes time to get to know them in a way that she'd never really thought was necessary before. I think that's where the heart of the show lies. These gentle, personal moments constantly intertwine the past and the present in the way I've never really seen in a story before. These are the moments that really count, and it's only elevated by the art and animation. Seriously, some of these episodes can be considered their own short films, especially the first few. There are some badass fight scenes in this show, and that animation carries over into the slower, more mundane moments too. One minute you're diving and dipping through a fucking solar jacket, and the next, you're on a path in the woods. The show keeps up that same level of care and polish through and through. If it's a more static scene, that's when the cinematography revs up, stellar backdrops and environments, voice actors reflect that calm, tranquil atmosphere, and then slowly, seamlessly, the soundtrack flares in. Soso no Frieren. Soso no Frieren is beautiful, but more than that, it's consistent. Would you look at that? I'm not nasally anymore. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. This is relevant. Early in the season, we catch a fight that has a style that is uncannily Studio Trigger. Then, a few episodes later, we catch a brutal, grotesque scene that it looks like it's straight out of Chainsaw Man. The style in Jujutsu Kaisen is ever-changing and exaggerated in a way that plays into and magnifies the tone of a scene. And that's pretty much your main advantage when using a versatile style like this. Alternatively, you can just reference 50 different anime, right? That's fun. Fuck it. One is a flashy, badass last stand, and the other is fucking gross and disturbing. And as cool as that flexibility is, I'm kind of taken out of it when some of the episodes have this sudden, drastic change in style. I'm losing touch with this world and how it wants to be conveyed. Frieren, on the other hand, has a consistency to it throughout the show. And while it loses out on that extra adaptability, it gains a much more immersive and consistent, whimsical feel exclusive to Frieren. And I really appreciate that. And that for me is what makes Frieren such a great anime. It is the fantasy anime for me. It's able to envelop you with its premise alone and further immerses you through such a unique perspective. And then the animation and soundtrack kick in, working to elevate the show to a level that few others could ever hope to really reach. It may not have redefined its genre, but it certainly mastered it in a way that is uniquely its own. Frieren stands as a testament to the power of storytelling, artistry, and livable work conditions. Madhouse, please don't delay it or have a sudden drop off in quality or I'm gonna look really stupid right now. Frieren isn't just an anime, it's a genuine work of art and a journey that I'm committed to seeing through to the very end, and whatever may lie beyond it.